Good morning and good afternoon and welcome back to my channel. I'm your host as always, Star Cub. Today I am going to be doing my rating and ranking for the Nightmare on Elm Street film series. And that was requested by a lovely subscriber of mine on my channel who has requested I do this. And it worked out really well because this is one I would never... I didn't think about it at the time, but I'm glad that they brought it up because this series to me is very dear to me. I absolutely love the Nightmare on Elm Street film series. So it's a big one to do, in my opinion. I did have material last night, but there were some things didn't go right, and I had to stop filming, and then I was halfway through filming and had to stop. So then I was editing, trying to salvage that, and it didn't work out, so I just scrapped it in the end and doing it fresh so I could take care with this one. So let's get into it. This is going to be random order for the films, but before I get into it, I just want to thank everybody brand new to my channel. Thanks so much for picking my videos. A lot of people have been watching my videos lately, so I'm glad to see that going on. And to everyone that is returning to my channel, has been watching my videos and commenting, I really appreciate you all. I really do. This has been a really big boost for me to see that there's a lot more interest in some of the stuff that I'm putting out there now, which is really awesome because I love doing it. So, you know, any more suggestions, horror-wise or comedy-wise, even TV series, drop them down in the comments below and I will endeavor to watch them if I haven't, and then do a review, rating, ranking, whichever you'd like me to do. So, without further ado, let's get into it. My number one. No, actually, no, I'm not going to do number one. I'm going to leave that one till last. So, starting with number two. So, my number two slot for Nightmare on Elm Street film series. My number two spot will definitely go to A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Absolutely loved Freddy's Revenge. I know it's a point of contention with a lot of people. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 was very different film. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely amazing. The way Freddy Krueger is handled in this one is dark, menacing, really surreal psychological shit happens, and he's still got that sarcastic wit, but it's really nasty and it's dark and it's great. It is absolutely great. Robert Englund, fantastic. Mark Patton as Jesse Walsh, the protagonist of the second one, fucking loved him. Absolutely amazing. And it's sad what he went through during the filming of this. The director that directed this film, Jack Shoulder, was unfortunately the one that fucking outed Mark Patton during that filming. So it was a very hard time for Mark Patton, and what he went through was excruciatingly painful, and it was gross what he went through. It should never have bloody happened, because the biggest point of contention with A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 is all the gay subtext that's in it. Now, I don't have a problem with the gay subtext in it. You can see that it drives the film and stuff like that, but the way that it was done, and he felt uncomfortable at the time with it, is hard to swallow in some respects as well, because you know what he went through. But the film is absolutely fantastic. He should be absolutely happy with the way that it now has a huge cult following, which is absolutely fantastic to see. I personally loved it. It was a very different Nightmare on Elm Street film, where he actually enters the real world in the second one, and it becomes more surreal. It becomes more real, and it's like a major head fuck. And the gore in it was absolutely amazing as well. The story was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. Everyone was in it was fantastic. Kim Myers as Lisa Weber, one of his friend slash girlfriend in it. Robert Russler as Ron Grady. Yeah, he was. He definitely was a treat to watch on the screen. He was fantastic. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think he was. A lot of gay men at the time would have been heart throbbing over him for sure in this film. It was fantastic. Eye candy there. Everyone was fantastic. So that's part 2. So that's my ranking for slot number 2. Slot number 3 for me will go to A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, which is The Dream Master. That's my slot for number 3, ranking at number 3. That film is nostalgic to me. It is fantastic. I loved it. The only thing I was really disappointed about is the fact that Patricia Arquette's character from A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors, does not return as Alice Johnson. That role went to Lisa Wilcox. No, sorry. My bad. I've screwed my notes up. Alice Johnson is the main character in number 4. The other main character, Tuesday Night, played Kristen Parker, which was Patricia Arquette's role. Oh my god, I got my notes so mixed up. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I got my notes mixed up. But Tuesday Night did a fantastic job, but didn't have the same flair as Patricia Arquette from Part 3, who played Kristen Parker. But Dream Warrior, The Dream Master, to me, is a fantastic film. Once again, it comes down to the gore was fantastic. Freddy, the story was fantastic. It drove the story, but almost the first 10 minutes of the film, nearly 3 of the original characters are all dead from number 3. And it really pissed me off. Even watching it now, I still go, oh, why did they go that route? Why? Like, I just can't understand why they went that route. But I love the film for what it is. It was fantastic. Some really gross out scenes. One of them particularly is when one of the chicks in it gets turned into a cockroach, and the transformation of her turning into a cockroach was really disgusting. Really made me want to puke. So many great practical effects in these films, and there was so much to like about The Dream Master. Absolutely fantastic film. Absolutely loved it. My number 4 goes to Part 1, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one by Wes Craven. I absolutely loved number 1. Don't get me wrong, people. Number 1 is absolutely fantastic. Heather Langenkamp as Nancy Thompson. Fucking love her. Number 1 will forever be ingrained in my mind that it is a fantastic film. From start to finish, young Johnny Depp, that was his debut. Absolutely fantastic. Freddy Krueger in it, fantastic. The story, fantastic. It set everything up for what came next, pretty much. The reason why I have it at number 4 is because my number 1 spot goes to a very, very special film in the series, which I will explain at the end why that is number 1 for me. So, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, everybody. Ranked number 4. Number 5 will go to A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child. Now, I've seen this one once, a couple of times, probably twice. I didn't like it. It went very, very bizarre. It went very, very weird. Obviously, Alice Johnson is the main character in it again. Lisa Wilcox reprises her role. But the Dream Child, I don't remember most of the Dream Child, but I knew that I didn't like it. I didn't like the direction. I didn't like the reasons for why they went that way. It was just a film that I thought, in my mind, is horrible. And that leads into number 6, for me, is Freddy's Dead. Freddy's Dead. I have seen snippets of it. I absolutely refused to fully watch this film from start to finish because it looked absolutely ridiculous. It was pointless. Freddy Krueger turned out to be more of a comedic role than an actual menacing dream master. And he lost all his, pretty much, his nastiness and everything like that, and he became more of a comedic fucking villain. And I just thought it was just pointless me even bothering with that one. It was horrible, people. It was fucking horrible. The bits that I've seen just left me going, what? Like, why? Okay, so that's 5. Number 6. Now, let me just pull up the remaining ones on my list. There'll be... Oh no, I'll leave that as a surprise. I won't even mention that one because this is where it'll come in. Why I think these ones that I'll mention at the end are both number 1. I'm surprising you with a little tidbit. There's 2 that are in my number 1 spot. I wasn't gonna say anything. I was gonna surprise you all, but there's 2 films in particular that are the number 1 spot for me, and you'll find out very soon. So, number 6, Freddy vs. Jason. Fantastic film. I liked it for what it was. What more can I say? I liked it for what it was. It's cheesy as fuck. Its story is okay. Some of it was very comedic. Not scary as such. Robert Englund did a fantastic job, as always, as Freddy Krueger. Although I really hated the comedic tone. I really didn't like some of the stuff that was in it. Could have done it a bit better. Gore could have been better as well, I think. It was fun, cheesy, popcorn flick. Make fun of it. But, you know, the funniest part in that film is when Kelly Rowland gets whacked by Jason Voorhees into a tree. I fucking pissed myself laughing. I literally nearly wet myself in the theater when that happened. I was like, oh my God. And I just couldn't help but laugh and cheer that Kelly Rowland got her ass kicked. Oh my God, the theater was so... everyone started roaring with laughter when Kelly Rowland got it. That was the highlight for me right there, people. Right there. But that film is okay for what it is. I did recently see it last week. Going through some old stuff. Just thought I'd rewatch it again because I haven't seen it in fucking years. Quite a few years now. So I enjoyed it for what it was, but you don't really root for anyone because, hey, they're all the acting in it was just mediocre at best. But the funny thing is with that film, the I think I mentioned it in my other video. Did I tell you all who I thought won in that when I was ranking the Friday the 13th films? I did talk about this one. I remember, I did. But did I ever mention who I thought won? Who I thought won out of Freddy and Jason in that film? My theory is that Freddy Krueger actually won, and that what we're seeing at the end is Jason's dream. But there's been a lot of debate over the years who actually won, or if it was them both dreaming. I tend to think that it's Freddy Krueger that won over Jason because, to put it simply, he's more dreams, but him coming out into the real world, it kind of does make sense but doesn't make sense. I don't know, but I think Jason's the one that's dreaming and Freddy Krueger actually won. That's why he does the blink at the end, to imply that he won. But it's left up to interpretation, I guess. Put in the comments down below who you think, if you've seen it, who you think won. But that's that one. And then it comes to my last one in the rankings. Now, particularly, I don't think this is even going to get a ranking for me, personally, because it's not part of the original series with Robert Englund. So this one I'm going to mention because it is technically Nightmare on Elm Street. It's the remake or reimagining of A Nightmare on Elm Street. But I will say, I enjoyed the film for what it is. I'm defending the film. I know a lot of people pan the fuck out of it. I don't see what everyone's disliked it and hated it. Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy Krueger nailed it. He nailed the more sinister vibe of Freddy Krueger. Not a comedic, sarcastic, sadistic killer like Robert Englund's is. Takes a comedic turn later on in the later sequels. Jackie Earle Haley's version was sinister right from the word get-go. Absolutely sinister. Loved it. Absolutely loved his version. I'm defending it because I think, personally, I liked it and I really liked Rooney Mara in it. Now, yes, some things could have changed and some things could have been different. But for what the film is, I think they did a fantastic job of that film. That's why I'm defending it. Because nowadays, people just don't like this, don't like that. Oh, I hate this because they didn't do it that way. They didn't do a one-for-one remake and blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. I don't stick to that bullshit. If it's a fantastic film, it's a fantastic film. I didn't say it was perfect. It does have its flaws. And there are things in there that is plot hole after plot hole after plot hole. There are a few plot holes. But overall, the film, for me, works. It was a more sinister version of Freddy Krueger, and I liked it. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm not going to give it a ranking because I will actually talk more about this one in a separate video why I think defending this version of A Nightmare on Elm Street works for me and why it should be taken in a different way and not really looked at and compared to the other ones, because heck, all the ones that came before it, Freddy Krueger changed every single movie. He changed, so you can't really compare it. Because it got more comedic and comedic as it went, and he really lost his flair. Whereas this one, he was downright nasty from the word get-go. So that's all I'm going to say there. But my number one pick is two films that are absolutely filled with nostalgia. Absolutely fucking love them. This is why they're both number one, in my opinion. They tie for number one, is because they're fantastic films. They both star my favorite 80s screen queen actress, apart from Linda Blair and Jamie Lee Curtis. But Heather Langenkamp in these two films was absolutely fucking hands down amazing, fantastic. I love her to bits. These two films, in their own minds, in their own rights, are masterpieces and should be as such. And that is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Right there, people. That's my number one pick, and they're both tied for number one. Number 3 story was absolutely amazing. Heather Langenkamp's character Nancy Thompson returns. Absolutely amazing. Sad when she dies. Really sad when she dies. I was screaming. I still do to this day. Every time I rewatch it, I'm like, no! Why did they do that Why did they do that? But over the years, and now more so than ever, Heather Langenkamp has expressed interest in wanting to do a Nightmare on Elm Street legacy sequel to the first one and the third one. I hope to God there is going to be an amazing script for it where it explains that she's still alive, that somehow in part 3, that last part that we saw was some sort of dream protection that she projected onto Freddy Krueger to protect not only the remaining Elm Street kids, but also kept her safe in the progress by faking her death, thinking that Freddy killed her, and then she's in hiding and she can go and live her life, and you know the other Elm Street kids are still alive, the ones that remained at the end of number 3. I don't know how it would work, but yes, please. I want to see Heather Langenkamp in a legacy sequel. Please. Jamie Lee Curtis got her friggin' 15 minutes of fucking fame in hers. I mean, I love Jamie Lee Curtis, but the rebooted films for Halloween, the true sequels to the original, were fucking boring. Absolutely hated them. And forever and a day, hating on Jamie Lee Curtis for thinking that those films are superior over Halloween, the original Halloween 2 and Halloween H2O, which personally is one of my fucking all-time favorites. And I just think, why? Why do you think they're superior over the originals, over the ones you starred in? Everyone kicks the shit out of Halloween 2, and Halloween 2 makes perfect sense. It was amazing film. Absolutely amazing film. And then H2O brought Laurie's story full circle. In my opinion, ended at H2O. That's all I'm going to say. That was Laurie Strode's saga right there. And if you really wanted to bring her back, you could have done a completely different story to the one that was told by David Gordon Green. Ugh! Absolutely hated his versions of him. He did a fucking disgusting job at those films. But there you go. So that's Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Absolutely love it. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. There is something very nostalgic about Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Surreal, psychological, horror at its best. Freddy comes into the real world. Nancy Thompson stars as herself. But the film is so fucking meta, like real horror meta, that she's playing herself in real life in this film, like Wes Craven and her husband and all of that. But then she has to, for the last time, basically reprise her role as Nancy Thompson to fight Freddy Krueger in the real world. And Freddy Krueger in the real world is like her crux, her nightmare, her eternal enemy sort of thing. It's very meta. All I'm going to say is it's very meta, and it fucking works. It's absolutely brilliant film. Absolutely brilliant film. The only thing I hated in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and for the life of me, it's no shade. I'm sure sure people have other opinions, but the little boy that's her son in it, that plays Dylan Porter, Miko Hughes, could not stand that little kid. Could not stand him. All the screaming and screaming and screaming. My God, he was fucking annoying. Almost annoying as the little fucking girl in Red Tide, Ryan Murphy's American Horror Story double feature. The little vampire girl in that, in Red Tide, just as fucking annoying as her. Could not stand her. Could not stand Dylan Porter's character in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. My God, I really wanted to just, at the time, I really just wanted to jump into that screen and punch the absolute shit out of the kid. Because he's screaming in it is just over the top. I'm just like, my God. But absolutely love the film. No shade to Miko Hughes. Please, no shade. I'm not doing any shade. I just really could not stand his character, Dylan Porter. Oh, really grated my gears. But other than that, that's that done. That's all the rankings done. Now, in terms of rating, Wes Craven's New Nightmare and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, they both get a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. That's all I'm going to say. 10 out of 10, absolutely fantastic films, masterpieces in my eyes. Okay. Next. Oh. My bad, sorry. I'll bring up my notes. You serious? Okay. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. 9 out of 10. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. The Dream Master. 9 out of 10. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. The Dream Child. 4 out of 10. Freddy's Dead. 0 out of 10. Nightmare on Elm Street, the original Nightmare on Elm Street. 9 out of 10. Freddy vs. Jason. 7 out of 10. For this one. 7 out of 10. And I'm not going... and actually, I am going to rate Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Or reboot. I am going to rate it. And I'm going to rate it an 8 out of 10. And that's my ratings done. That's both things done on that, and I'm quite happy with how it's turned out. It's been a long video, but this is one I am so passionate about. A Nightmare on Elm Street film series to me is fantastic, even though there's a couple, that I don't like. In terms of where the franchise went, first one was absolutely fucking fantastic. Freddy Krueger was so menacing. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, he was extremely menacing. A very different Freddy Krueger altogether from the rest of the other films. Very different, and I loved that. So he was very menacing there. Number 3 and number 4. It's where you wanted Freddy Krueger to be. You wanted him to be there. He was still menacing, but had a comedic tone. But you could see by number 4, he was going more comedic menacing. So he was still menacing, but not menacing, and not menacing in like really nasty menacing. It was more comedic menacing. So that's where it kind of changed the vibe. By part 5, Freddy Krueger was all over the place, and I really didn't like the turn that it took. And Freddy's Dead, obviously, he just went full on comedic, made no sense, absolutely fucking horrible film. Wes Cravens New NiGHTMARE and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Freddy Krueger was menacing as fuck, really menacing. Part 3, he was still menacing, but his comedic timing in it was done really well. But overall, he was extremely menacing in number 3. Extremely menacing. On the same level as part 2. Freddy vs. Jason, more comedic than anything, which was disappointing. And then Nightmare on Elm Street, the reboot, obviously, different version. Jackie Earle Haley's version, he was downright despicable. Extremely nasty, evil. He's the definition of evil in this one. Really fucking evil. And that's what you wanted from a Freddy Krueger. And his version really brought it. And what's interesting about it is his version was, you could actually feel and see that he was physically fucking burnt. And you could see like how gross he looked. Whereas in the coming ones of the originals, he slightly kept getting more and more not looking like a burn victim, that he was burned alive in a boiler. The first couple of movies, he looked absolutely amazing, and then by the next few, he doesn't. He just looks like you've slapped on a skin on a pizza or something like that. I don't know. He just, it doesn't look like a burn victim. It doesn't look like a burn victim, and it doesn't come off as well. Whereas the reboot, he looks fucking burnt. Like his nose looks, he like sort of like has a nose but doesn't, and it's, you can see into his nose. He looks like a real burn victim, for Christ's sake. Looks like a real burn victim, and that's amazing. That's why, hands down. But other than that, guys, I just really wanted to thank you all for tuning into this video. I know it's an extremely long one, but hey, I thoroughly enjoyed doing this one. It's absolutely fantastic to see that people are getting into these sort of videos. That's why I love doing it. And if it goes over time, it goes over time. I love talking about this stuff. But other than that, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Give me comments below on anything else you want me to do, TV-wise, book-wise, movie-wise, anything. Put it in the comments below. Don't forget to click the like button, subscribe button, and the notification button to keep up to date with all my content. And I will be back later today with some more videos for y'all. But other than that, thanks so much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.